Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Colton Sproul. I know I've been out for a minute, but I've been busy working. Today, I wanted to go through an RPG leveling system, writing it through Claude. I know a lot of people like AI nowadays. I enjoy it as well. It is very intuitive and robust. And speaking of robust, that's what I told it to write was a robust Unity C# script that holds overall information for RPG leveling system in XP. And I specified I needed to be robust. And we're just going to go with the flow, see how much we got to fix this. And I wanted to go through and see if I could give some insight onto how I do things. And if it helps anybody, that would be great. Um, I've been using AI for about a year now. My coding skills have gotten a little stronger and a little weaker, both because of this. Um, because I have a lot of things that I do in code that I no longer do manually at the moment, but I need to get back to those so I don't forget those practices. And that is the double-edged sword of AI, honestly. You're going to end up doing things that is, uh, it can help and hurt you. So just be careful with AI, please. You have to be on top of it for it to work correctly. But enough preamble. So what I did was I told it that, and here's a robust leveling system, XP system for Unity, split into a config, scriptable object, which is great, and a runtime component, mono behavior, so designers can tune curves without touching code. That sounds great. So if using system and Unity engine, it gives you summaries for level caps and created via assets, create RPG leveling config. So this is the background script we'll place in there, and then we'll create a new script via assets create RPG, leveling config, and it will create a new scriptable object. And it goes through and it finds these, um, it's given it names, it's given the asset menu names, um, the curve type, level bounds, curve settings. A lot of this is relatively easy to code if you know what you're doing. I have not coded too many RPG systems, so a lot of this is new to me. I'm not gonna lie. Um, so we got an animation curve if we want that too. Only used if curve type is custom, and it gives you some stuff in here that's not really pertinent if you don't want it. So the next script through a leveling system script at us, and it shows what the starting level is, the starting XP, current level, uh, the progress to the next level, and it clamps it. Um, fired every time. So there's action figure in here that's fired every time you gain XP or every time you gain levels. Um, let's see. I know I'm going through this a little slowly, but I'd like to see what's happening. XP add or add XP. Sorry. It's gonna log warnings. It's gonna see if you have max level. If no XP is gained in the max level, keep the state clean. It looks clean. It looks right. It looks good. Now there are going to be some inconsistencies with it. Um, Useful for cheats, debug tools, save file restoration, edge cases. So you got in here where you can set the level to. That's if you want to do that. Load states restores exact state info from a save file, validates against current figs, so old saves don't break if max level or curve changed. Good. So they do have a couple things and they're keeping you from, hey, if this load state and it's not 100%, it'll recalculate. So that's good. Leveling save data, capture save data. So it's saving snapshots for us. And that's great. If a Unity error, or if Unity editor, sorry, not error, keep inspector value sane while editing play mode. That's funny. While editing play mode or before a wake run, keep them sane. So we don't want them insane right now. We don't want them out of whack. Plain data container for safe load. No mono behavior scriptable object. So level save data. Cool. So, and the coolest part about this AI is it tells you exactly what it's trying to do. Now, sometimes it's not um, exactly what you want, but for this, it felt right. It felt like a basic RPG leveling system, and I can modify it when needed. So, next thing is it asked me if I want a companion stat growth script auto increases stats on level up. And I said yes, we should add a stat growth hook, and it should be an exponential curve. So the exponential curve is already in the default level config, so no changes needed there. Here's a stat growth companion script that hooks onto the on level up. And then it goes through and it's gonna look at all this fun stuff. Look at the stat growth definition. Listens to a leveling system, recalculates stats whenever the entity levels up. Stats are not derived for a fresh level. So the coolest thing I've seen so far in this, these are just trying to get the stats and everything, level you up, and make sure the stats are being uh, forced upwards as well, not just your levels. I'm guessing that's what I understood from it, unless I'm incorrectly misinterpreting it. How it fits together is talking about all these different things, and it tells you how the HP as percentage compounds is powerful late game, strength is flat, predictable, and special stat like crit chances per level curve. Designer draws the exact curve, good for diminishing returns. So we can modify all these to our liking. Now, it also said one thing to flag, since stats recompute fully each time, if a stat's current HP should also scale up on a level, not just max HP, you'll want your health script to listen for the delta between old and new max, not just snap to the new max. Want me to also sketch a small example health component showing that integration pattern? I did not understand this. This is kind of new to me. So I asked, what do you mean? And it broke it down to a point where I understood exactly what it was talking about. Good question. Let me walk through the actual problem with numbers. Say a character has level 1, max HP is 100, current is 60 out of 100. He took some damage. Levels up to level 2, max HP recalculates to 120. Now you have two reasonable sounding but different outcomes. Current HP stays at 60. Now they're at 60 of 120. Leveling up didn't actually heal them at all, just raised their ceiling. In most RPGs, this feels bad. Players expect a level up to feel good, not just to stay where they are. So that's what it was trying to tell me. When it levels up, do we want to max his HP? Yes or no? Or do something different? And I said, so after all that, it's giving me some more information. And he clarifies, so it's not a bug in what I gave you, it's just a seam between stat growth and current resource pools that need a deliberate decision on your end. You want me to write the full health component with this wired in so you have a concrete reference? And I said, I understand. I want them to heal one level up. It feels better. It feels better, you know? Every time you play Pokemon, you level up, you gain that health back. That feels great. Most RPGs are like that. Um, so it gave me that health component to actually look for that. Handle stat change, the invoke on health change, take damage, heal, and a load state. So, with all that being said, we're going to start trying to put this into work into the project. So, what you need to do is just go to copy, and we'll need to add this as a leveling config scriptable object. So, if we jump back over here, the scripts, and we want to create, for this one we want scripting, but this is a scriptable object, not a regular mono behavior script. These are different. Leveling config, I believe. Config, awesome. Config. Let me double check that name, leveling config, and it is a scriptable object. So if we open this now, go away Unity Hub. Oh, that looks clean now. Skip and add accounts later. Sorry, buddy. Let's go dark. Should be community, so shouldn't need to log in. See, awesome. It gave us all the information on the top, create asset level. So what we're going to do though, if we copied, and we're literally going to paste that whole script right here. Leveling config, and it needs to be that same name, leveling config, right here. Needs to be 100% the same for the script itself. So I want to make sure, yep, leveling config. And if you don't know for sure, copy paste it. Boom, done. So we got a leveling config up there. And remember I was saying if you look into assets and create, now they should have that leveling config in there, RPG leveling config. So let's not do that yet. Let's get the other scripts in here first. So that is the first script. The next script is, if you look at the top, is a mono behavior script. So leveling system. And we're going to go here. I'm going to create. I'm going to go to scripting. Mono behavior script. Leveling. Oh man, I can't even, I'm going through this so quick. I don't know what it is. Leveling system. Okay. Okay. Leveling system. Enter on that. New mono behavior script. We're going to copy and paste everything over that. And here is our leveling system mono behavior script. Okay. Now there's errors. Awesome. So it's missing a cast, and that's fine. So what we could do is, what I will do is we can try to go in here and find these casts and specifically call them out. Let's see. Or we could tell the script, or we could tell AI that the script has errors in it. Let's see where it's looking for them completely. Nope, not there, sorry. Clear 49 21 49 current XP start XP 21. What's the other one? Serialized private long. Okay. That's an int here. Set an int. Start an XP of a long. Current XP of a long. So easiest thing to do is grab the script, and we're going to go to the bottom, and we're going to paste the script back in and tell it there is an error where a long, what is it, cannot implicitly convert type long to, or float to long. And then we'll scroll down. And it is going to read through that script again, and it's going to try to find that error. Found it. Cool. Don't have overload for long. Math, okay, that's why. So mathf clamp and mathf.max works with ints, not longs. Yep, ints and float. So when you pass it along, C tries to implicitly convert it to the float to fit the mathf signature, computes the result as a float, and then can't implicitly convert that float back to your long variable since it's a narrowing conversion that could lose precision, hence the compiler error. So there's two spots. We saw it in awake, and he saw it in load state. And to fix this, just use plain C# math instead of mathf for any long values, which is fine. We just couldn't use those methods because they were specifically looking for floats and ints instead of longs. And the difference between all this is a float is a decimal point number, a floating point number. It could be 0.123456789. An int is a integer number, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then a long is a long number, a very long number. I do not know the actual decimals or the actual point value or how many um, places it goes, but it is exactly what it says, a long number. And right now, it is trying really hard to figure this out. Um, Sometimes this is the bad thing because it runs out of energy and you can't work on anything for that day unless you're working and you can actually code on your own. So I would use this sparingly. I would use it very very sparingly and try to. Oh, there we go. Let's see if we could get it. You're right. There we go. So to fix this, Math Max. Okay. So in awake, we're gonna repopulate this in awake. So let's jump back in here. We're looking for awake. There's that. We're gonna paste it, and it's a little different. And see if that gets rid of that error. And then in load state, private static clamp long. Okay. And we're gonna jump back in there. Look for load state. There's load state. And we're gonna start from there down and paste that. And it's gonna add the secondary clamp that is looking for long values. So this is a new method it created because there is no clamp long. It just created one and it's trying to modify it properly. So and it's also saying it fixes a related latent bug. So there's something else that it coded into it that it didn't recognize at first. So that's what I'm saying. These can be very tricky. And then load state is still giving us a problem with clamp long. So okay, so it's going to try to modify again. This is the back and forth of talking to the AI, trying to make sure that it's doing exactly what you needed to do. This is it. So as much as you don't like this, it may not be for you. Um, for other people that like correcting things continuously, that's right up your alley, I guess. Um, but yeah, while it's doing that, we're gonna come back up and go to, what was the second one we did? We did leveling system. Okay. Now we're gonna do stat growth definition. So we're gonna jump back into the project. I'm gonna create a mono behavior script. Stat growth definition. Enter on that, enter on that. I'm gonna highlight all this and paste it. And it's not deriving from anything. So it is a mono behavior script, but you can take that out and it's its own little thing now. Here's stat growth itself, which is a different class within the same script, but that one is deriving from mono behavior. So you can have multiple classes in a script that help do different things, and it's perfectly fine. You just got to be careful with that when you're doing it on your own and what you need to be looking for. Stack growth definition. Next is what is this? Okay, this was part of that. So this one needs to be the health component. It was giving me a part of a script, not the full script. That's what's throwing me off. Health component. And I'm just winging this, honestly. This is all just to see what happens. I don't care how it goes. I just want to see if I could get something up and running. So there's all that. Now let's see if we have any more console commands or errors. None. It's just that one cast that we're still waiting on Claude to get back to us about. So here's that. Okay, here's that. Okay, so this is where I was a second ago. And it is now telling me easy to miss since the line looks almost identical before. Can you pass the exact line statement you have? In the meantime, your fold method exactly read with zero, call off the long values. Okay, so let's try this. We'll copy this. It's saying this one should be correct. And we're going back to at growth definitions. Nope. What are we going back to? What are we going back to? We're going back to the load state inside the leveling system. There it is. And we're going to copy this down to clamp long and repaste that. Nope, wrong button, buddy. And then now, let's jump back over. Actually, let's do this one last time. We'll copy the whole thing. Validation on the bottom, or validate on the bottom. Okay. So there was another error thrown, and it was during the validate. So if we're using this, if Unity editor, paste. Oh, I need another. There we go. There we go. Let's see if that fixed that. Okay. Now it's loading. Can we, yes, we cleared it. Awesome. So now, for those that don't know how to do any of the stuff at all, and you're working from literally watching me, we could talk to AI and be like, how do we use these scripts to start the setup of a character, right? So now it's going to take everything we've been talking about, and it's going to tell us exactly what we need to do. So we're going to follow these. Here's the step-by-step setup. And we're following it because I want to see how accurate this is. Because so far, it's been pretty accurate. There's been a couple hiccups, and it just had to figure out the difference between a long and a float. But if we can keep it going that way, that'd be fantastic. So we're going to go to Assets, Create RPG Leveling Config. This creates an asset file, Player Leveling Config, in the inspector. Oh, and sorry, create that file, period. In the inspector, set max level is, let's say we go to 50, curve type exponential, base XP requirement, sample 100, Growth rate, example 1.15. You can reuse the same asset across multiple characters or make separate ones, e.g. player config versus globe, globin config, the lower maximum flatter curve. I don't know, goblin? Okay, I was thinking global, and I was like, what kind of word is that? I'm all messed up right now, that's early. Um, Goblin config, yeah, so if you have a player versus a goblin, it makes sense because it's an RPG. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. So let's go in and do what it's saying. We'll go to asset, create. We're gonna go to RPG, leveling config, player leveling config. Okay, now over here, these are all the things we can do. Max level, no, we're going to 100. We're breaking it. We're gonna do an exponential curve. Base XP requirements. How much to get from level 1 to level 2? Let's say 5 XP. Growth rate 1.15. Yeah, let's do 1.2. Custom curve. And you can set this curve to be whatever, but it looks like it's going up to 50,000 over a couple. Yeah, so we'll keep that curve as is. I don't need to modify that. Now, build a character game object. Create an empty game object. Example, the player, and add components in this order. So require component chain autofills correctly. Add the leveling system first. Add growth second. Add health component third. Because of the required component. So a required component means, let's look at this real quick. If we jump in here and we go to stat growth definition, it has serializable on top. But if we go to leveling config, serializable on top, class definition. Let's see if it has any of it. It says it on top. Leveling system. Disallow multiple components. Okay. So there's one thing I'm looking for there. This will say require component, and it will, there it is. Stat growth. Require component stat growth. So when you put this health component on there, it should grab the stat growth definition component and place it on there as well, if I'm understanding correctly from previous history. So let's see. We're in just a basic scene here. Let's rename this to save scene as scenes test. Okay. Now we're going to create a 3D object, which is a plane. I'm going to stretch that plane by about 50, 50, 50. Sorry, y doesn't need to be 50. There's no upwards. It's just a plane. Now, create a new empty. This will be a player. Under that, we'll create a 3D object like a sphere. No, sorry. Sphere doesn't make sense. A capsule does. And we're going to bring that up. If you hold left control and you move your stuff around, it will snap to the grid. So I moved it up by 1 point, and it should be perfectly snapped to the grid there. So the player's here, the capsule here. So now the reason I moved the capsule is because I wanted the capsule to be centered on the player. Now if I choose the player's centered. Now, if I snap it anywhere, I can move him wherever. So unity, coordinates. Y is your top, up and down. X is your left and right, and Z is your forward and back. So this blue arrow is the forward of your world. So, and we are at, if we look here, the position's not correct. If we set this to 0 and 0, we are now centered in the world, and we can see that on the grid as well. Perfect. So now, we need drag your player leveling. Okay, no. Sorry. Create an empty game object. Add a component in this order for requirement. Chain autofills correctly. Add the leveling system first. Okay. And then we'll see if it autofills after that. So on the player, not the capsule, this will be the main game object. Leveling system. Boom. And stat growth. No. What? Why can't I put a stat growth on there? Derived from mono behavior. Okay. But I thought they had one in here. Yeah, it's stat growth. So they, like I said earlier, we're adding stuff to the. So I think what's happening right now. Before we continue, the stat growth definition cannot be added to the player due to it being tied to the stat growth. Sorry, my microphone's falling. Due to the stat growth not being derived from mono behavior, should we split this one script? And if he doesn't know what script I'm talking about, we'll go to stat growth definition, we'll copy that, and we'll paste it. Good catch on terminology, but here's the fix. The splitting the script is how you're trying to add it. Let me clarify what's going on. Okay. A plain serializable class, which means it can't be added to a game object as component. There's no add component entry for it, and that's correct, not a bug. It's meant to live inside stat growth stats list, not stand on its own. Okay, so now what's the workflow? Add the stat growth component to the player. This is the mounting behavior. This is what shows up in that component. The inspector finds a stat list under stat growth. Missing system serializable in the script. Unity has a cloud. You're looking at the wrong component. So mono behavior shows up in that component, but I don't see it coming up. That's the problem. It doesn't. So am I missing a step for the stat growth? Troubleshoot it step by step. Check the console window for compile errors. Yes, yes. Confirm and component is actually attached if it shows stats field. So let's go back up real quick. I know this is fun, right? So much fun. So we're looking for a stat growth script again. Here's the stat growth definition. Stats growth per level, then it's row types and stats. So we have all this. Type of leveling. Listener's level system calculates. Okay, so I'm not sure that. So let's just do this. I'm not sure why I cannot add it. Splitting script may be most beneficial. Fair enough, let's just split it. Even the root cause turns out with a stale compiler, having them as separate files remove one variable is good practice anyway. So I chose the better option on that. So we're going to do stat growth definition and then stat growth. So this one is a CS file, and the other one is a CS file as well. They're both monobehaviors, but one does not derive from monobehavior, indicated by this right here. It would say colon, semicolon, I don't know, I get them mixed up. It would say exactly this right here with the colon monobehavior. So we're going to copy this. I'm going to jump back over here. This is stat growth definition. I'm going to paste stat growth definition. Okay. The other one is just called stat growth. Okay. Yeah, now it's yelling at us because it doesn't know where stat growth is. We're about to create it. I keep putting grown. You see that every time too, huh? I'm grown. Stat grown. All right. Now the console errors went away, which is perfectly fine. Now, stat growth, look at that. Boom. Stats. We don't have any stats yet. Cool, we're back on track. So, go back up. Okay. Add stat growth second, add health component third. Health component. Name health, max HP. So, because they're required component, adding stat growth auto adds leveling system if you skip it, and adding health component auto adds stat growth. Adding them in order just keeps the inspector tidy. So if you were to add them in reverse order, it should have added all three. Configure each component in inspector. Leveling system. Drag your player leveling config asset into the config field. Simple enough. So config right there. Player leveling config. Boom. Now it knows to use this information when it's leveling. Starting level, starting XP, 0, current level. Okay, we're going to keep all that. Read only inspector, runtime state. So we don't need to modify any of these. This is showing that these are modified on run. Now, set starting level usually 1 and starting XP usually 0. Yes. Stat growth. Expand the stat list and add entries for basic setup. Stat name is health. Growth type is flat. Base value 100. Flat amounts per level is 10. Stat name strength. Okay, important. The stat name and string health must exactly match health stat name on health component. Case sensitive, no typos. There's no compile time check on this. So that's a big problem. Like if this is gonna be running, you have to be very precise on the actual like typing, the case sensitivity of this, or else it will not work. Health component default. Health state name defaults to health. Leave it unless you change the state name above. So we want to keep this as health. We want to keep this as health. Okay. So let's see. What do we got? Got stats, element 0, stat name, health, base value What is the base value? Base value 100. Okay, that makes sense because we started 100 health. Wanted a flat amount. Let's go 10. And we don't really need a curve because it's flat. Power. Base value 5. Flat amount 5. Actually, let's do per level curve. And the curve will be linear. No, let's do an S curve. Okay, so the health is health. That should be linked up now. So the max HP, current HP, and all that should be fine. We're gonna save. We'll need something to call to add XP, typically from a quest reward, kill enemy, or quest objective. Example, test it with minimal debug script. Okay, so these are giving it levels based on, let's do this. This is a nice little script. Level debug tester. On a behavior script. Level debug tester. Jump in here. And this is cool because get all that done. There we go. It's grabbing the leveling system, the stat growth, and the health component. On awake is setting them, so we don't need to set those references. It's grabbing them from the player, so this must live on the player. On enable, leveling on level up now, level up gain, health on go, blah blah. So press G to give. So we're gonna hit the G key code G, input get key down G go key, or key code G. Oh man, I can't even say it. And H to take damage. So this script is a debugger, and instead of having stuff hit us in the world, we're gonna have this on it. Debug. Oh man, there's a lot of debugs in there. Level. Oh, we're gonna go level. Debug tester. Okay. If this works, that'd be great. Now when I play, I don't want this to maximize. So we'll come over here, play focused. The reason I don't want it to maximize so I can see the stuff on the right here. So starting level 1, current level 1, current XP 0, XP to next level 5. Max HP, current HP. So now if I press, let's see the, oh, that's gonna be a problem. And it's with the inputs this time because we're using old inputs. I don't know if this will work right now. Key code G or H? Let's try H first. H. Nope. So G. Nope. So what's happening now is it's using old input system. There's a lot of fun stuff going on with this. The key codes to be used with the new Unity input system, as the old is deprecated, meaning we don't use it anymore for the most part. Here's the updated tester. Use new keyboard current API, the simplest path, no need to set up input actions. Cool. So now keyboard current G key was pressed this frame. So we'll see if this works. And this is the easiest way to try to troubleshoot and fix things within this, because it, as I said, you have to know what it's doing. No keyboard detected. So we're still trying to press the G key, but the keyboard is going through a different classification of methods, if you will. Um, so keyboard does not exist in current context. I need, okay, so we'll specify one last time. I need to use the input actions, input, input system actions. Okay, generated input system action asset. Default from Unity creates a new project. Setup is different. You bind to actions rather than pulling keys directly. So that's what was throwing me off. I was like, that's not normal. Um, so we're going to copy this script. And what it's doing now is we're grabbing the input actions, which is what this asset is. And if you open this asset, you can actually see the input actions, interact, crouch, jump, move, previous, next, and all that. And it's probably going to do like submit or cancel or attack or interact as the thing. The other thing you need to do is generate a C# class on this and apply it so that you can actually grab those actions from the C# class. So every time you modify these, if you didn't have this here, it wouldn't be able to grab them with this, with the, with this, I believe. So if they're not pulled into, like, if they're not specified with that button that I just did, this here, geez, generate C# class, this will not be available. Therefore, this, uh, man, I keep going back to it. This will not be available. Let's try it now. Let's see actually what key they want us to use. On jump and on tag. So jump is space, attack is left click, as far as I remember. So player, jump, if we modify this, space, attack is enter or left mouse button. So okay, if I click, there goes my current HP to 90. I click again, there's 80. Click again, 70. Now if I hit space, my current level rose to 5. My current XP is now 4. My XP to next level is 10. If I hit space again, I went to level 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So these are correct. It is running through and changing things. And look at my current HP, my current and max HP now. Now I'm level 22. This is the way that the power and the flat and everything changes. So we went up to level 22 and got around 300. So if I do percentage now, and we do a 5% increase every time and go to level 22, that curve, that health is going to be so different. So we're at 100. Look at that, max HP. Holy snap, 12,960 on level 5. So that 5% is absolutely ridiculous. We got to do like a 0.05% if we're trying to get it to level up the same way, exponentially or linearly. So that's what this is. So if we press it now, we went to 121 to 134. That's so much better. So if we jump to 20 again, We almost got back to what we were at. I think it was 310 the first time. So that 0.5% is roughly it. Um, yeah. So that is how I've been starting to use AI. I hope this has been beneficial. I hope if you've been following along, you got the same results. If there's any questions, please ask. I'd like to continue showcasing this and see how far I could get with it. Thank you for all your time. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Bye.